I think it was Thomas Jefferson said that if the people ever allow a private monopoly of the money, I forget, this is short paraphrased, then the banks and the corporations which grow up around them will consume the wealth of the people until the posterity wake up homeless on the lands their forefathers conquered. That's what we see right now. We have economic catastrophe staring us in the face. And when that implodes and everything goes to hell in a handbasket, I'm a believer. I know where my salvation comes from. I'm not concerned about that. But barring God himself stepping back down here, and America imploding because we've allowed the ravenous wolves to steal our nation from us through a paper fiat currency system, I'm going to specifically ask for the two representatives from North Carolina to tell me, what are you going to do about that with the state of North Carolina? Do you understand what money is? And then I'd like a follow-up from BJ, because I think he's proven in his run that he has an absolute grasp on fiat currency versus wealth currency. We've got to get some competition in that system and let the people decide what good money is. I want to know what you're going to do when that happens.
Well, just to take a lead off, there is a tremendous difference, not just philosophically but practically, between debt-based money and wealth-based money. And I think the easiest way to explain it is if you've got money that is literally loaned into existence, and then you're expected to pay back the principal, but you're also expected to pay back, what else? Interest. When that money is created out of nothing, when you borrowed it into existence, you got to ask yourself a question, well, where am I going to get the money to pay back the interest? Because you created that principal by promising to pay it back, but you promised to pay back more than you borrowed. You need the interest too. So when you understand that, mathematically, it's all very clear. This isn't a political thing. This isn't, this isn't Democrat versus Republican. You've always got more debt in the system than can be paid off. So everybody's constantly scrambling to try to beg, borrow, steal, earn, whatever. And it seems like it kind of works almost on the way up, but you're dependent when you take out a loan on more and more people borrowing more and more money to put the money into circulation to pay back the debts. And that's what we're dealing with right now. And the question is really well taken, because we have got to get to a point where we have an off-ramp and where our local economies, where the economies that serve the needs of real people in North Carolina communities can function based upon our ability to profitably take care of our neighbors. Because that's the essence of capitalism, right? That's what's been lost, in my opinion, from our country, is the ability that I can wake up tomorrow and help somebody out. I can offer them a product or a service, I can hire, I can fire, and I can do well for my neighbors, and my neighbors choose voluntarily to compensate me for my efforts to serve them. That's what we need in this country, and it does start with the money. So now I'll let our distinguished representatives talk about what we're going to do when the money stops working.
Well, the money has stopped working. 24 hours ago, your treasurer issued a debt affordability study that basically said the credit card of North Carolina is maxed out. And I know that Representative Holloway and myself, we fight that every day that we suit up as a member of the House of Representatives. What I didn't clarify a little bit earlier when I was talking about the border of North Carolina is that we set up unnatural arbitrages that allow people to do things cheaper by walking 3 miles in one direction or the other. Gas taxes are 14 cents less in South Carolina. You just saw a thing where we raised taxes on some of the things that are some people call sin products, like tobacco and alcohol. We raised the taxes, but the revenue's gone down because people are going to other states and purchasing them. We have to be evangelical about making sure that North Carolina is the lowest cost place to live and do business. And the single most important thing that I've done in 5 years as a member of the House is to vote against budgets that are growing at a faster rate than the citizens' ability to pay. Every single one of them has grown at a faster rate. And the irony, as a business person and a student of economic history for the last couple hundred years, the irony of this is that we're on an unsustainable path. We've lost our currency, we've lost our language, and we've lost our middle class. You know, no civilization has really survived any one of those fights, much less all three at once. And we're trying to fight all three of those at once. We must stop The government, state government, has got to start doing what everybody in this chapel has done, and that is to shrink their personal lifestyle to reflect where the economy is today. And the state government has not done that. As a matter of fact, they've gone in the opposite direction.
And I'll just try to quickly touch on a couple things that Representative Falwell said. He and I both came to Raleigh in the same year, 2005, and neither one of us have ever voted for a state budget, and probably the reasons for that are very similar. But let me just quickly identify a couple things that I think that Republicans will do differently than the Democrats. One, I'm a very strong proponent for a zero-based budget. Our problem is that we spend way too much, we tax too much, and we've got to address that. And how we can do that is going through the budget item by item by item and let every member vote yes or no, does that go in or does it come out? And as it stands now, that is not the way it works. All decisions are made in a back room with 8 members that the speaker appoints. They roll out the package. They tell their members to go press yes, who's ever in the majority, and they all do. And the sad thing of it is, you know, I have less than 24 hours to read a document that's about 600 pages long, and that's just the revisions. That's not the actual budget itself. But a zero-based budget, we would go through and look and analyze every dollar that's being spent instead of just taking the previous year's budget, making a few changes and rolling something out. And I think that's how we can be accountable. And plus, we need to put that on the internet. We need to make it accessible for people to see what we're doing. As it stands now, like I said, it's all closed door, back rooms deals. And that's the thing about politics that I don't like. But there's some other things that I could touch on, but that's the main thing that I think that you would see us trying to do to bring some accountability and lessen spending and greatly reduce taxes.
In 30 seconds that there's a difference between getting elected and governing. And I can tell you that when we get an opportunity to govern, which is educate your children, pave your roads, and protect you from crime, if we can't do it any better than the folks that are doing it down there today, you should fire me and everyone else down there.
Great question, thank you.